Hello, everybody. It is the morning of the final day here, day 5 in South Bend, Indiana at the Scrabble Players Championship. And what that means is our 2 finalists in the top divisions have been determined. The goal was to get into that top 2 after 28 rounds of play. And in the North American focused NWL division, where $10,000 is on the line, I think a familiar face to many of you, really excited to see it. Mac Meller was the top finisher in the main event. He's going to be squaring off against Ian Weinstein in a best of 5 today. In the English UK or Collins division where I competed, I did not come anywhere close to the finals. I think I'm in 10th or 11th place right now, or maybe even worse. Either way, the finalists in my division were Wasim Khatri, who is not a surprise to see there. He was a finalist in 2022 as well, his last trip to the SPC. And he's going to be going up against the top finisher in the main event, Josh Castellano, who has been steadily improving to an extremely high level over the last few years. Not a surprise to see him do this well also. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my 2 games with Josh, which were pivotal to propel him into the finals and to basically eliminate me from contention. They were really interesting games, so without further ado, I'm going to get into it right now. Okay, so the situation here, it's round 24, which is basically this is the high watermark of my tournament. I have realistic chances of making the finals if I can win a bunch of games. I'm playing the top player in the standings in Josh right now. So Josh going first in the game, he exchanges 2 tiles and I have this rack. So not much to be done here except just play Klept. This is the best option. There's no real way I can respond to exchange 2 differently. And Josh immediately, as expected, after an exchange 2, he's got something good. So he plays Dalliers, which makes sense. So for me, on my next turn, I was hoping that L would stay open for tootling. Also an O would have been, a U would have been nice for outdoing. Don't get those. I can play shorter here with something like odd. This is a nice idea to keep the ing combination on my rack and make a decent lane to play 7-letter words along row 4. Instead, I went with goody. Sometimes I feel like the ing leaves are a little bit overvalued. The board is not so beautifully open. Also, some of the better letters to play through are a T. I already would have a T on my rack after playing odd, so I do play goody for 24. It's kind of stylistic. Maybe I should have opted for the better bingo leave here. I could see that being a small mistake. And Josh responds by playing his only bingo of out voice. So he's up after 2 bingos to start the game, but I've got one of my favorite racks, which is the Retinas rack. And of course, with all these options available that score 81, I'm going to pick Retinas as long as it has strategic merit, which I think it's fine. It's as good as anything here. So I get back in the game temporarily, and Josh answers with Bulls for 26. My rack, the reason I say temporarily is that I get a tough break here. My rack becomes this. So this is not what I hope to see. I'm losing by 50-ish points, and now I have to work through this clunk. At least, though, I have a spot to play for 30 points. And the nice thing here, even though I leave 5 consonants, I'm making an S hook that if I can work through all the consonants, eventually I'll be happy to have that hook. So I play Kef, and Josh very cleverly senses that I would probably have an S with a play like that, maybe some of the time. And he plays WAP. This is a really nice idea. It cripples the S hook. It makes it much harder for me to end 7-letter words with an S. So that is a nice idea. Here I play, I have these tiles. So the B and the V, of course. I drew 2 vowels, which I'm happy to see. I have a bunch of options here. I think in retrospect, I'm liking Bavens as my favorite play, which I strongly considered. Just because, again, the S just got a lot less useful after Josh's play of WAP. It's a lot harder. Swap is a word, but it's a lot tougher to start a word with an S than ending a word with an S. So this play did decrease the value of an S by a fair margin. I do end up playing Vibe, just hoping that I can still get a bingo on the board as soon as possible. Couple other options here, like Divna could have been decent with the B on the rack. Usually you would want to use a B, so that's why I played Vibe for a bit of a lower score. And Josh answers with Ava, further constricting the board here. And I drew a pretty good rack here at this point. So to my ANDS, I drew EL, which is pretty good, and I drew the X. Normally, you might think that playing the X under here for 44 is a slam dunk, but actually Vibe X is available here for 33. And the beautiful thing about my leftover tiles is that now I actually do have really good chances of getting a bingo, starting with S with that leave of ADELNS. If I draw an I, I'll have snailed, T for slanted, R for snarled, definitely some G for slanged. So there's definitely a bunch of things that I can get that I'm going to bingo on my next turn. But amazingly, it is Josh who bingos first with the beautiful play of Garrigue for 74. And not only does he bingo first, I also draw the Z to my nice leave, which, hey, I'm not complaining too much. I have Zeta for 53. This is kind of a slam dunk play, I think. And hopefully I can draw vowels. And Josh plays Worm. Unfortunately, I do not draw vowels. I draw 2 more N's, and I'm pretty much forced here to play Linen for 19. Keeping NST, again, the vowels could save me, and I can get a bingo down after this pretty quickly. Josh responding with Youth here for 30. So now is where things really start to get interesting. So my rack is this, and I really have, as I saw it, 2 options here. I could play Yen. Yes, youthy is a word. I know it's weird. The nice thing about this, of course, it sets up my S very aggressively. The problem is there is an S lurking for Josh in addition to the blank, so I felt like it's a little premature to be making such an aggressive setup here. I wanted to play it a little more patiently. Maybe now is the time to make a big setup like this. But I thought I had another pretty good option, and that is Nye and Yclept. So the reason this is good is it creates a lane in column B, which was not previously accessible. I thought about maybe I should just keep the Y and try to draw a bingo ending in Y, but the Y is not that great of a bingo tile. Getting rid of it now is probably a better way to ensure that I actually get a bingo down on my next turn, which I very badly need. So I like this play, and I think I stand by it as a good idea. Josh responding with Queenie, extending my Nye to the double word score for 36, which is not what I want to see. And I have Unrests on my rack, which, of course, does not play on this very closed board, unfortunately. And here it's tough. I'm down 85, so I need to come up with something creative. And what I made here is the play I made is Weather for 24. And you can see when you simulate this, it shoots right to the top. Actually, it looks like a couple other moves are similar. Okay, there it goes, giving me strong winning chances because when I do get a bingo with these nice letters, often it scores so well that it actually gets me back into the game, whereas these other moves might lead to more bingos, but they don't score enough. So the bingos I get after Weather are going to score quite a lot, depending on how well I can draw. So I think I like this idea for me. Josh responds with Nam, and I drew the blank. So I'm still trailing. Nam scored decently well. I worried a little bit that Josh had a G here, I think. GNU, there is one G open, so I thought, man, he's probably making a good spot for the G. The interesting thing about Nam is that he didn't use an I, and there are 3 I's left, so I can reasonably expect that some I's are coming in the bag. That's just something for me to think about. So yeah, what to do here? I have a million bingos here with Weather, and bonuses being one of them. There's all sorts of stuff. They score 84. The problem is there are now 6 tiles in the bag. So if I play these 84-point bingos, I'm going to be close on the score temporarily, but Josh is going to have perfect endgame timing. It's very unlikely that I will be able to go out on my next turn and end the game holding 6 tiles. I'm going to need the absolute perfect draw to even have a chance at that. Very, very unlikely. So I think correctly, A lot of people ask, when is it right to not play a bingo? This is a situation, right? So playing a bingo here, I think, leads to a loss almost every time. And I think I had to do something different here. So for example, when you put in the choices, I made the play of Owens, a very archaic looking word. We'll get the definition on screen. And you can see when you analyze this and you simulate it, you can see that Owens is going to eventually rise to the top and perform better than a lot of these bingos here for that endgame timing reason. But the computer thinks that there is a much, much better play here in just YOUS for 21. And obviously this looks great at first glance. I do feel like the extra 10 points are important for me here. I might not get over the finish line without them, but YOUS has a huge benefit, which is it preserves the weather hook for myself. So Owens, even though it scores well, I'm taking away that critical lifeline of weathers for myself. So I don't think that use is as dominant as the simulation suggests. And that's because the thing about Owens, with 6 tiles in the bag, it uses 5 tiles, which means that Josh will have to empty the bag on his next move no matter what. Use gives him some room to maneuver. He can play 2 or 1 tile on his next move and not empty the bag. So anytime, for example, that he has the J, he can take the opportunity to just play Joe and Ya in this spot, not empty the bag, get rid of his highest scoring letter. And then when I do bingo on my next turn, he's going to be able to very likely hit me with something in this spot alongside the Q, and I'm still not going to win the game after all but the heaviest bingos with weathers. So I don't think that my winning chances are quite as high as the engine suggests, but I appreciate that, YOUS might have been a slightly better play. And to his credit, Josh has these tiles, and he sees that there's literally nothing that I can have to this C. So with all those I's, I was hoping for things like citifies or citified. I thought it was a reasonable chance that I would draw a bunch of I's and be able to draw a bingo from the C here. It turns out that there isn't anything like that, and Josh can safely just play Ahi, going up by more than enough to win the game. And I drew to my S blank. I drew these letters, and I just have no bingos available here, sadly. And if I did, they wouldn't even score enough unless they were in a very good spot, like with this C. So I play my best move of Frig, and Josh ends the game with Tirade, and that's it. It's 396 to 465 in Josh's favor. So tough one, but then I get matched up with Josh immediately again, and this is really going to be my last stand here going into this next game. All right, so as I said, I get paired with Josh immediately again, and I think the reason why is that the pairing system wanted to give me as good of a chance as I could get to win my way back into contention. I must have been like one of the lowest players in the standings to still have some winning chances. So I get matched with Josh again, and I play Hummus to start the game. I considered something shorter, but I liked getting the extra points and shedding both of the 2 U's here. And of course, Josh has Dumaists. Very nice play by him. I floated one of the letters that he needs. This is an anagram of stadiums. And my rack was this. So after my EL leave from Hummus, I draw kind of weirdly. I thought about playing Koa, but it left the 2 L's. Instead, I played Alco for 19, which I think is a little bit better. I want to maximize my chance of hitting this S of Hummus. That is the best bingo spot on the board. So I play Alco, and perhaps wanting to obstruct that somewhat, Josh plays Braze for 34. In fact, I would have had Alieners in the spot to that S, but I do have bingos elsewhere, including Tree Nail for 68, so I take a very narrow lead here, and Josh plays Expo, which scores 39. I'm really happy about that as a play. 39 points is kind of an average play. I had Ornator on my rack. The reason I'm happy about that play of Expo is after Braze, there are so many hooks that can go here. The D, the N, the R, the S, all of those. Clearly, Josh does not have any of those letters. or else he would have played a hook to braze, scoring really, really well to the triple. So I'm fortunate there, doubly so, because now I can play Antrors with the brazen hook, which is the best bingo that I have available. So I now am up by a pretty solid margin. And Josh plays a Jivas here for 32. So this is interesting because Josh could easily have played Javas here for just 30, which is pretty defensive. So a Jivas strongly suggesting that he has another I on his rack, or else he would just play Javas. If he has another I, a Jivas makes a lot of sense, and maybe it makes sense if he has multiple vowels. Maybe he makes this play with 2 vowels on his rack. So instead of using just Javas, leaving 3 vowels, he's playing a Jivas leaving 2, which would be a big improvement. So that informs my next my next decision. So I have 6 consonants, and with such an aggressive opening, I can't do anything about this A. So I was thinking to myself, well, do I need to play cat here for 13? Or should I just play it here in the normal spot? And I played it in the normal spot, hoping that Josh maybe drew a bunch more vowels and wouldn't have much to do. But instead, he plays betray for 45. So my read was wrong. I think I still stand by my decision there. And I draw this rack. So this is not what I hope to see, these duplicated letters, but I have a play that stands out from the rest of non-aged, which seems to be by far the best option for me here. I'm glad I found this through the A and E on the board. I think it's significantly better than the other options that I have. And I catch a break when Josh plays go-go for 14. So that is like a wasted turn almost, where he's working through clunky letters. So I was thrilled to see that. I have these letters, and I play one of the sillier words in the Collins lexicon, Jaffa, just another effing Aucklander, I believe, is the acronym for this. I think it's very likely the best play here. It just scores quite well and balances my rack a little bit. So not really much else to consider. And Josh hits me with recently for 80. So all of a sudden, I'm in some trouble, and I have these letters. Not much for me to do here except play voiced, which I also like because it uses a lot of tiles. At this point, I'm now attuned to the idea that both blanks are still available to be drawn, so I want to use as many tiles as I can. This play also is just a great scoring play, so everything in my favor with voiced here for sure, getting me even on the scoreboard. And Josh clearly has the same idea. He plays add women. So this, I guess there's some consolation here, playing add women for 42. If he had had one of the other blanks, he's definitely playing mad women or some other bingo here for sure. So I know he didn't have the blanks there. The odds of him picking them are quite good using so many tiles, but I still do have some hope in this situation. Of course, my draw really hurt. I have 3 I's and 2 L's. So I I stare at this for a little bit. I thought about just playing FIL. The problem with this move is it takes a valuable bingo lane that I might need. I'm the one trailing in this game, so I need every bingo that I can get. So I try to play sort of interior to the board. I play Villi for 18, untripling my I's and getting rid of those L's. I don't love keeping the F, but hopefully I can just draw well around it. Maybe I can draw, just avoid the W and P and some of the letters that don't mesh that well with it. So I would love to use the F2. It's possible that Fifi's is a better play, even though it leaves 2 L's, but Villi does seem to do well in simulation. And Josh plays Pew for 16. We could go into a lot of detail about what he had on his rack there, but we'll tell the story from my POV here. And this is my rack. So with 1 tile in the bag, I am trailing by 30-ish points, and I'm looking and I'm seeing what would happen when you have 1 tile in the bag. What you're supposed to do is imagine what would happen in the future of the game with each tile in the bag. So what would happen if the E was in the bag? What would happen if the H was in the bag? Dilutive would play down from this D that I would have to worry about. If the I was in the bag, he would have lots of bingos in a bunch of places, thulites and things like that. If the T is in the bag, he has a very difficult bingo from the D. And if the U is in the bag, he has ditheism and stuff like that. But what happens if the blank is in the bag? That's what I was thinking here. Can I win this game if the blank is in the bag? And the answer is yes, but there are only 2 plays that computer engine, that even Macondo, the strongest computer engine, can find. And one of those 2 plays is just playing the F right here. The reason that that will work is that if I do draw the blank, I will now have tie clasp and diascope in these 2 spots that will be impossible to block. The beauty of playing EF here is that it makes it next to impossible, if not impossible, for Josh to play a word that, for example, if he were to just play something right here, it would block this T and the D very effectively, but EF makes that impossible. So very, very nice play. I didn't spot that, but I did spot the other play that wins me this game. So if the blank is in the bag, what happens, right? So there is an H lurking. Even though if the blank is in the bag, Josh doesn't have playable bingos, he still has the H, and he can play stuff up here for a huge score. And I'm not going to have a bingo or anything of my own, obviously, if I'm playing more than 1 tile. But I do have something up my sleeve here. So if I'm able to block this big spot for the H, I have a really nice scoring play available. So what I decide to play is Phi right here for 25 points. The idea being I block the spot for the H to score that many points. I don't really give anything back. My leftover letters of A, C, P, S actually play right here with the word aspic for 42 points. And if I draw the blank, I'll just be able to pluralize it with a blank S. Not only that, if Josh tries to block this spot, I do have a pretty good backup plan in Pacas with a blank A right here. And that's going to score quite well also. So this is the only other play that wins. And I thought after Pew, it was possible that Josh might not have had that second blank. And it turns out that was true. He drew it from the bag. So I had a real fighter's chance here. I play Phi, and the last tile in the bag actually is the T. And let me see, he had another blank. And with this rack, Josh made a beautiful play. There's only 1 bingo here, Mudirie, which he does end up playing to win this game. He actually had a bunch of other ways to win the game, including just stuff like betraying that would get the job done to win the game as well. But a really, really classy, stylish play by Josh to finish this one out, which shows why he's in the finals. He knows the dictionary extremely solidly. He's made incredible progress in that area. So congratulations to him for making the finals. He got there in part because of these 2 wins against me. Yeah, I'm not sure if he'll be on the stream or if it's going to focus on the NWL division between Mac and Ian. But yeah, hopefully I'll get this video out before the stream goes live this morning, a little bit longer than my usual. So thank you to anybody that watched through to the very, very end. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to try to finish strong in my last 3 games, and we'll see where we end up. So again, twitch.tv/Scrabble. It's the final day of the stream. Head on over there and see who gets crowned our North American champions for this year. So again, if you stayed with me for the whole video, thanks for watching, and we'll be back to our usual content very soon. All right, see you later, everybody.